Good morning everyone, good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomos and you are welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new, on this channel I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse, I talk about spirituality and I talk about personal and self-development. And if any of that stuff resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us. Give us a like, share this video with the friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. So I'm going to do this video in the park while I have my usual walks. So basically, I'm going to talk about the narcissistic rage. Now, when I woke up from abuse, it was very clear to me that I wasn't dealing with a human being. Yes, on a physical perspective, I was dealing with someone that I thought was a normal human being, a normal person or something like that. But when I went on further to understand this kind of individuals, then that's when it came to me that actually I had always been dealing with entities. So what I did, I went no contact, like I've told you guys already. I went no contact, and during the no contact, I started to introspect, I started to dig within, and I started to do the research. Now, there was a lot of information online. They were talking about narcissism, you know, a lot of these doctors, psychology this, psychology that. A lot of people were talking about narcissism online. And I was just waiting for one thing. In all the videos I used to watch, I was waiting for one thing. I wanted exactly to find out if those individuals were going to mention some of those things that I'd experienced. Yes, they will talk about all these kind of disorders, NPD, and then they will talk about the bipolars, all these kind of things. There were so many different kinds of names, and we're talking about all these kind of psychological and even sometimes medical terms that would try to define narcissism. But I never got the answer that I was looking for. I always noticed that whatever it is people were talking out there, there was a missing link. Now what I did, I came out and I started doing videos on narcissism. And the very first thing I do, if you guys have been following me, the very first thing I said, I told you in the videos that narcissism was actually a spiritual warfare going on. So this had always been a spiritual warfare. It's just because very less information had always been put out there, and very few of the people out there was actually talking about narcissism being spiritual. So I came out, I started doing videos, and voila, my tribe found me. The tribe who had actually seen what I had seen and who had experienced what I had experienced. People started coming around and they would resonate with my story as I would also resonate with theirs. And that's when I actually confirmed that I wasn't going crazy. Because you see, the problem is most of the guys who are waking up, the first thing they do when they start talking about narcissism, people are going to call them crazy because people don't understand what is narcissism. So people are going to think those individuals are going crazy, they are mad or something like that. So you're going to find all kinds of names. But the more I spoke about this on a spiritual perspective, the more people started coming out of the closet and confirming that actually it was not all about me. They too had also experienced and had also seen the same things that I'd seen, and they had experienced the same things that I'd also gone through. Now, you see, the problem with narcissism is that it is very difficult to find a solution to this narcissism epidemic. I call it an epidemic because this is something that is infecting so many people, millions of people all over the world. So it is very difficult to come to a conclusion and to a solution to this epidemic when people are not getting the truth, when people are not actually understanding what narcissism is all about. Narcissism has got to be experienced. Narcissism cannot be taught in schools. Yes, you will go to the schools and you will learn. You'll have a lot of teachers telling you this, they do that, and then they do this. But a real victim and a survivor and a thriver of narcissistic abuse, those are the individuals, if you want to know everything about narcissism, those are the individuals you can sit with them. They will tell you exactly who a narcissist is, and I'm talking about a narcissist on a spiritual perspective. So they're going to give you the details. And because of this, it is felt on both ways if it comes to the empaths and the narcissists, now the empath, when they are waking up from abuse, they are going to psychologists, they are going to therapists, they are going to all these kind of medics and things like that. But those individuals, at the end of the day, they are not telling them everything. Yes, they are going to tell them that you're dealing with a narc and things like that. So they are going to tell them all this kind of, if a person is doing like that, they are narcs and this and that. But the books and psychology, that is where they stop. Their knowledge stops on the names and the characters and all these kind of personalities and everything. But when you want to understand narcissism on a very deep level, you have got to talk with a survivor, a person who has lived and experienced narcissistic abuse. Those are the individuals who are going to tell you exactly what is going on behind the scenes. The narcissists as well, when they wake up, when they finally understand their narcissist and they go to this kind of diagnosis, they go through some kind of a diagnosis or things like that, they understand their narcissist, they also are not going to get the answers they need, because those individuals, the same psychologists and the same medics and doctors and whatever, this kind of stuff, they are also going to tell them that they have got a personality disorder, some kind of a mental disorder. So that is when now you are now going to start pushing this problem even deeper, because now the narcissists, they are believing psychologically they are having a disorder, and the empath also, they are now believing they're dealing with somebody with a mental disorder. And now that's where the problem starts, because now there's no permanent solution to this whole pandemic and this whole epidemic. If people start coming out and addressing narcissism and understanding that actually this whole thing is a spiritual thing, this is a spiritual thing going on, if people understand narcissism on a spiritual perspective, that is exactly when healing is going to start, not only for the empaths, but also for the narcissists, because now we are all going to understand what exactly have we been dealing with, and it is very easy for us to make very, very serious decisions about the lives that we're supposed to take and how we're supposed to move forward. That includes also the narcissists themselves and as well as the empaths. Now, people, let me talk about rage. When you're looking at the narcissist, there is two things you're supposed to put into consideration. Number one, you're looking at the narcissist as a vessel. I've always mentioned it in my videos. I'll keep on mentioning it and again and again. You're dealing with somebody. Number one, there's a narcissist who is the vessel. Number two, you're dealing with the entities behind those narcissist personalities and whatever it is, the entities behind their actions and their behaviors. So there's always an entity behind the narcissist. And because of that, you have to remember that these narcissists, I've always mentioned it again, the narcissists, they're operating on some kind of a software. Now, those entities, a narcissist has made a particular decision. There has been a turning point in the narcissist's life. There is nobody that has ever been born a narcissist. You cannot go to a hospital, a pregnant mother, you ladies out there, you will not go to the hospital and you'll give birth to a child and that child is a narcissist straight away. That does not happen. Which is going to give us the second subject that I'm going to talk about very soon. I'm going to talk about a reason why I believe narcissism can be reversed. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to be the only person who is going to come out and tell you guys that it is possible narcissism can be reversed and the person can be cured from narcissism. But there's always levels to this, and always, like I said, it is not going to be an easy journey for somebody to get cured from their narcissism, but they have got to approach this issue in a spiritual perspective for them to get the healing that they're looking for. So these entities, I'll call it entities, but you guys can put your words, can put whichever word fits for you. Some people you want to call demons, some spirits, some this and that. You can use whichever word you want to put on it. I'll use the word entities in this video. Those entities, the very moment they talk over the narcissist, they program this narcissist to follow a certain procedure, which is the reason why you will see a narcissist from Hungary is going to do the same thing the narcissist from Germany is doing. The one from Germany is going to do the same thing the one in the United States is doing, and so on and so forth. All around the world, we all know that the narcissist, they follow a similar pattern. Now, there's no kind of mental disorder on this universe which allows a person to do the same things that another person from a different kind of a place is doing. So you are not going to find narcissists doing the same, following the same pattern and following the same procedures in different countries, in different corners of the earth. This is because these individuals, they are possessed. Narcissism is a demonic possession. So what happens with that? When the person gets possessed with this kind of disorder, whatever they want to call it, the mental disorder, they start to follow a specific program. Now that program It has got to be followed according. It has got to be followed accordingly. So you cannot skip a pattern. The narcissist will be with you, and they will go from one what do they call it? They will move from one stage, they'll go to another stage. From one stage, they'll go to another stage. So you'll see them, they will love bomb you, then they will go and they will trauma bond, then they will go on with the smear camper, they'll go in the devaluation, they will go in the, no, it is the love bombing, and then of course, the trauma bond is going to kick in. When the trauma bond kicks in, you're going to start the abuse. They will start the abuse. So you'll see a lot of gaslighting, a lot of blame shifting, a lot of silent treatments, a lot of very, very difficult toxic abuse in that entanglement. And then eventually, they are going to go to the devaluation process. Now, when the devaluation occurs, that is exactly when the narcissist is about to discard you, and they're about to send you out or discard you, something like that. And then, of course, they're going to discard you, and eventually they will bring in somebody what they call the new supply. And of course, some people have also experienced the hovers. The hovers will come, and now when the hover comes, the cycle repeats again. So the narcissist, they're operating on repeat from one point A to B to C to D. You cannot miss, if there's a narcissist out there, they cannot miss a certain stage in that cycle. The stage has got to happen, whether as long as you know that you've been dealing with those kind of individuals, a particular stage has got to happen at a specific time. How does the rage come in? Most of the times, the empaths, you can almost figure out that you're dealing with evil. For the most of the empaths, I'm talking about the very sensitive empaths, they have usually figured out that they're dealing with somebody extremely evil. Now, for me, in my case, in my own personal journey, I've seen a lot of rage. Like I've told you guys, I've grown up in a dysfunctional family, so I've seen all over and over this rage happening in my lifetime. And also, as long as I've been involved in partnerships and relationships, even some of my friendships, I've continuously seen the rage. During the rage, there's one familiar thing that you guys have experienced. Some of the narcissists, you have seen them, their eyes have turned black. When the narcissist has been raging, you have seen them, their voices, even sometimes their voice, the tone of their voice has changed gradually to a voice and a sound frequency that you've never had before. Now, that frequency is not of this planet. Let me repeat this. If a narcissist has raged at you and you've heard them scream or shout or bark at you, whatever it is, whatever tone of voice that they've used to rage to you, to rage against you, that tone, that voice that you've heard is not from this planet. You will look around from the people you know, the friends you know, in your vicinity, in your communities, there is that voice that they have used during that rage. For the most of you guys who have heard it, you have got a chance to hear it. Most of you guys know what I'm talking about. So that rage, the voice that they've used, the tone of their voice is not from this planet. It is from the entities behind the narcissist. And those are the entities that are now using the narcissist as a vessel to rage. That is why you see them, they will speak in the tone that you've never heard before, anywhere else for as long as you lived. Number two, you have seen those narcissists, their voices, their faces, sometimes you guys have noticed, their faces have turned into some different kind of creatures. So you have noticed that normally when the narcissist is raging, their face all of a sudden, they turn and they transform into some different kind of a creature in a very short period of time. And this incident normally it happens in a very short period of time, because after the rage, of course, they go back to their original self. Now, what is happening behind the scenes? Some of you guys who have seen the narcissists, their eyes are turning black, completely black. It's like the white part of the white element of the eyes all of a sudden disappears, and the eyes gradually turn black, completely black. There is no amount of psychology, there's no amount of medic. Yes, they will come around, like I've said, they are going to come around and tell you, oh, you know what, when the narcissist was raging, your brain was playing tricks on you, and you are seeing different things, you are hearing different things. That's what the medics are going to say. When the narcissist is raging at you, you have got to know that you have done something to the narcissist, and that whatever it is you have done or whatever it is you have said, it is actually interrupting the cycle. It is interrupting the procedure of the narcissist, the way they're supposed to perform, and because of that, the narcissist goes into rage because nothing has got to interrupt their patterns. So whatever it is, they may have been doing something with you, they may have been, you guys may have been having a nice day at home or something like that, and you might have done something, you as an empath, because usually you guys don't even know what you're dealing with. So you as an empath, you might have done something, and that something, it triggered the narcissist in a different way. So the rage is usually a result of a trigger. The trigger usually comes when you are saying something to those individuals, those narcs, you are saying something or you are doing something, and that something doesn't conform with the software in their heads, with the software, with the program they have got to follow. Because like I've said, these guys, they are following a program. They are following there's a software implanted in the back of their heads for as long as they've been narcissists, and they have got to follow. There's nothing can intercept that program. So when the narcissist is raging, what is happening behind the scenes is that you have triggered the narcissist. Actually, some of the times you have triggered them, and you are very likely, I'm saying very likely, going to cause them an injury. And the narcissists, they know the very moment you cause them an injury, that is exactly the moment those demons and those entities behind them, they are fully going to manifest. You know what I mean? So some of the times you guys have noticed that when the narcissist goes into injury, those demons, they manifest. Now, if you're a person who doesn't know how to decipher this kind of language, you will see all of a sudden their eyes are going to turn black. They are going to start shouting and screaming, and they're going to use a tone that you've never had on this planet. I want an medic to come out and explain to me the voice that the narcissists are using during the rage, and some of the time during the entanglements, the voice that they are using, and the reason why their eyes are turning black, and why do their facial features also alter in a very short period of time. I want a medic to come and challenge me what the thing is all about. And again, I've heard all the names. Like I've said, I did my research. I heard all those names. They are saying these kind of medical terms and this, oh, you know, the brain is doing something like this, and then the brain is twisting this and that. They are twisting this whole information because I believe, I do not know, but I suspect a lot of information is not being put out there, and I don't know who exactly they are protecting. Number one, they could be protecting the narcissist, and by that, they're even making the epidemic much more worse than it already is. And number two, they are preventing the individuals. In this case, we're talking about the empaths who are supposed to start knowing the truth. So it's like they're shielding. I don't know if it's a bit of a shade here. Let me walk towards this side. You see what I mean? And on the other hand, they are shielding the empaths from knowing exactly what is going on, and they're keeping them back. They're putting them back to sleep and keeping them in the closet. So you see, this is where the problem starts. You understand? So if you see this kind of thing, information going out there, and people are saying, oh, you know what? You guys might have had this, you might have had that. No, you know, these are not demons, and those are not evil spirits, and this thing like that. They are now starting to hide the problem. And the problem becomes double. The problem doubles because now the truth is being hidden, and they're telling people the lies. They're telling people what they need to know or what they need to hear. But they're not telling what they want to hear, but they're not telling them what exactly they need to hear. When the narcissist is raging, people, let me repeat this. The demons, those evil entities behind them, they are manifesting. At that particular point, in that particular time, they are manifesting. They are manifesting because, for number one, you as a person who is the narcissistic, you as the supply, the victim who is in that situation, the problem is that you are interrupting the process. So when you're interrupting the process, this process and this pattern of narcissism has not got to be interrupted by anybody. Which is the reason why in most of the cases the narcissist go to trauma. So when the narcissist trauma bonds you, let me give you something to look at, guys. When the narcissist trauma bonds you, they put you to sleep. The reason why they put you to sleep, for the most of you guys who have not seen my video, I said the narcissist, how they put you to sleep and things like that. The reason why the narcissist is putting you to sleep, because you are not supposed to see these individuals for who they are. So you are supposed to be in sleep mode, so that now they can start to do whatever it is they want to do it, and now they start to perform whatever it is they came to do with you until the end of the end of that entanglement. And you are not supposed to see any of that. Even if you see it, you are not supposed to recognize it, and you're not supposed to know that pattern for what it is. That is the reason why the narcissist puts you to sleep. But the empaths, most of the empaths, during those entanglements, the empaths, they have noticed the voices of the narcissists during the rage, especially I'm talking about during the rage. Now, the rage usually comes when you have done something extremely, the narcissists, they expect you to behave in a certain way, to do things in a certain way, and to speak in a certain way. When that doesn't happen, that is exactly what is going to trigger them to go into rage. Now, when they go into rage, they are going to switch into demon mode. When the narcissist is raging, they are switching into demon mode, and that is exactly when you're going to see those demons manifest. The demons that are influencing them to do whatever it is they've been doing to people. They are going to manifest. Sometimes you may even see them physically. Of course, like I've said, the narcissist is the vessel. So you see the narcissist, all of a sudden their eyes are going to turn black. Completely black, like a beast. And their voices, they're also going to change the tone of their voices. And that tone, whatever it is, for you guys, most of you guys have seen many of you guys on my videos, you've heard the voices I'm talking about. You have seen the faces I'm talking about. You have seen their facial features alter into something different that you've never seen before, and in a very short period of time. And when that happens, for the most of the time, you guys, like most of the empaths, a lot of empaths, they have missed this point. A lot of empaths around the world, they have missed this, the most important point they are supposed to see. They have always missed it, because normally when the narcissist is raging, a lot of empaths run away, they run to the other bedroom, they look away. So that is exactly the moment whereby you have missed that point. But for the empaths who have been able to look the narcissist in the face, you have seen the manifestation I'm talking about. And if that happens, that it is the case, I would like you guys to mention in the comment section below what you have seen. This is the page of truth, so we are going to talk about the truth. The truth shall set us free. The truth is not only going to set the empaths free, but it's also going to set the narcissists free. Because now there's narcissists who are going to now start to understand what it is all about, their disorder. And now they're going to start to tackle this problem, this epidemic, or this situation, whatever it is, in a very much more spiritual level, in a spiritual perspective. And I think that is where they're going to find the answers that they're looking for. Like I've said, it is not every narcissist that they want to be narcissists. Not every narcissist, they want to stay narcissists. These individuals, their bodies and their souls have been hijacked at a certain point in time. They've been taken over by demons. And those demons, they're using them as vessels. But because they have overpowered, because you see, when those demons capture those narcissist souls and take control of them, the narcissist completely loses control of himself, and they do not know anymore what they are doing. So they start running from place to place, pattern to pattern, abuse and all these kind of things. They torture you have never seen before. You can live with the narcissist and they will torture you in the way you have never seen before. It does not matter whether you are a man or a woman. When you're involved with the narcissist, you're involved with the demons. Whether you know it or you don't know it, you're involved with demons. And the narcissists they do not have control over this. I will say it again and again. The narcissists do not have control. There is nothing they can do to control this. And even sometimes I've seen, recently I was watching some videos online. So there was two narcissists I think I saw. And one of the narcissists was asking, actually this narcissist was pleading, if there's anybody out there, guys, listen to this, is very important. The narcissist in that video was pleading. Unfortunately, I lost the name of that video. I hope one day I will find that video, and I'm going to share that video with you guys. The narcissist, yes, they came out as narcissists. They understand their problem and everything, but they were appealing to individuals who know anything they can do to reverse this narcissism so that they can get out of it. It is not every narcissist they want to stay narcissists. Some of them, they have gotten so down the trail, and they're on the verge of death. And they want to get out of this narcissism, but they just don't know how to do it, because number one, they're going to the medics and they're tackling this problem in a scientific perspective. And now they think they've got a mental disorder which can never be cured. So the science will tell you that, okay, so narcissism can never be cured. A person will die a narcissist. On a physical perspective, it looks like the truth. But on a spiritual perspective, narcissism can be reversed. I'm going to make a whole video about this. You guys should watch out, or should look out for my video. I'm going to make a video about this, why I believe, as a person who has awakened from narcissistic abuse, and as a person who has got a real spiritual awakening from narcissistic abuse, I'm going to let you know, guys, it is possible for narcissism to be reversed. And a narcissist can heal from this epidemic, from this disease, whatever disorder, whatever they can call it. So if you have been out there and you've seen the narcissist rage, You have seen their voices, the tone of their voices change all of a sudden, and you have seen their eyes turn black, and you've seen their facial features all of a sudden change. Now, me as a person, there is nothing you can tell me that I don't already know. There's nothing you can tell me that I have not already seen. It came to that point whereby I saw the narcissist. In the day, the narcissist was looking something different. During the day, like I've told you guys already, even yesterday I did a video about the greater narcissist. The narcissist in the day was looking completely different. In the morning, the narcissist was looking completely different. So these were 2 or 3 different faces I was seeing. And of course, in the beginning, it would confuse me. I was like, okay, I don't really understand this. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, the narcissist will come out. Maybe we're going out somewhere or something like that. The narcissist is completely looking different. In the morning, the very first thing to get up in the morning, the narcissist, the facial features and everything about her, they have already changed. And is completely looking a completely different individual. So the psychology and these medics, they're going to come out and telling you, oh, you know, because they're wearing a mask and they have to fake around and, you know, do some kind of makeups and things like that. Yes, they will do the makeup. But makeup does not change somebody completely to become 2 or 3 different individuals altogether. One day you'll see a different face. In the day you'll see a different face. In the morning you see a different face. There's no amount of science can convince me. No amount of medic. There's no amount of psychology can convince me that narcissism is not spiritual. This thing is a demonic possession, and it's a spiritual warfare going on. So if you have seen the rage, let me know in the comment section below what has been your experience. Let us know exactly what you have seen. Because remember, guys, we put out this information, we sensitize other individuals who are involved with this kind of epidemic so that they can know what they're dealing with. Because remember, the truth always sets you free. It is the truth that set me free. If I woke up from abuse and I came around and I started believing all this kind of disorder, this and disorder that, mental this and mental that, I don't think that I would ever reach this point of healing in my journey. When I knew, the very moment I discovered narcissism was spiritual, that is exactly when my healing started. Because now I knew that I was not dealing with an individual as a person. I was dealing with entities. I had been dealing with entities all the years of my life. And that is exactly when my healing started to happen, because now I knew what steps I had to take, very desperate steps. I had to take very desperate steps to heal myself, prioritize healing of myself, my body and my soul, and that is how I became the person I am today. If it wasn't for that truth, and if it wasn't for that revelation and the truth, I'm sure that at that point I would still be stuck in that kind of a cycle. So guys, let me know what you think about this video. I'm still having a walk in the park. Leave me a comment, guys. Like always, your support is always appreciated. All my Cashapp and PayPal is in the comment section below, in the description below. Support to this cause. I get out the knowledge, guys. You know what you know. You get enlightened. You get healed. And until then, guys, it's been lovely to have you guys on board. Much love and blessings. Narcissism signing out. Peace.